All right, I want you to picture something for me. The the ultimate what if scenario for any creative person, right?
Okay.
You're sitting there, maybe it's a rainy Tuesday, and the vibe is low, and you're just, doodling to pass the time.
Been there.
You sketch a character, maybe it's a little wonky, maybe it's brilliant. You finish the last line, you put the pen down, and the paper ripples.
Ah, so it's the classic Frankenstein moment,
It's exact.
the spark of life. But usually in those stories, the creation immediately turns on the creator.
That's the thing. Here, the paper pops, and suddenly that little doodle is physically standing on your desk staring at you. And that is the hook of the material we are dissecting today.
Right.
We're looking at a narrative called Scribble the Sketchpad Cat and the Art of Responsibility. Now, on the surface, yes, this is a children's book,
It have bright colors, a cat on roller skates, all that stuff.
but we are definitely not here to review a kid's book.
No, we're here because this story is actually a surprisingly sophisticated allegory for the architecture of the creative mind. It's really a case study in executive function.
That's what pulled me in. It touches on that specific tension that I think we all feel. I don't care if you're a CEO, a novelist, anyone. That battle between the raw, chaotic energy of I can do anything versus the constraints of, okay, but what actually works?
It's a battle between divergent thinking, just generating a million possibilities, and convergent thinking, which is selecting the one that actually matters.
So our mission today is to unpack how the story uses a chaotic, one-eyed cat to teach us that balance. We're going to look at the psychology of the blank page, the danger of unfiltered output.
And why things that sound boring, like trash bins, are actually the secret to masterpiece-level work.
Oh, and we have to talk about the screaming fruit.
We are absolutely going to deep dive into the screaming fruit.
But let's establish the baseline first. We've got two protagonists here, and they basically represent the two halves of the creative brain. First up, we have Aria. She's 8.
And the text establishes her North Star almost immediately. It said she loves to draw more than she loved chocolate chip pancakes.
Which, for an 8-year-old, is a very specific and very high-value metric.
Oh, yeah.
It tells us she isn't just dabbling, she has focus. She has intent. She's the executive part of the brain.
And then, on this rainy afternoon, she creates her foil. She doodles a cat named Scribble.
But look at the design specs here. This is not a Hello Kitty situation.
No, not at all. Aria draws him with zigzag whiskers, one giant cyclops eye, and this is crucial roller skates for paws.
The roller skates are such a telling detail. I mean, if you put roller skates on a cat, you are literally removing friction.
You're removing the ability to stop.
Exactly.
And his tail is shaped like a lightning bolt. Visually, he is just volatility incarnate. He's pure impulse.
So when he pops off the page, his first words are, "Meowvelous, I'm alive."
He's thrilled. Just pure, unadulterated energy.
And this kicks off the first phase of the narrative, which I think we should probably label the era of unfiltered output.
Or maybe imagination without guardrails.
Yeah, that's better. And initially, the text does a great job of showing that dopamine hit. It's fun. Scribble is skating across the floor, leaving rainbow pencil streaks.
He turns the couch into a trampoline, draws himself a whole buffet of tuna tacos.
And this is that blue sky phase of a project, isn't it? Everything is a yes.
Totally. Can we have tuna tacos? Yes. Can we bounce on the couch? Yes. It feels euphoric because there are no no's.
But then we see the law of diminishing returns kick in. The chaos starts to curdle. It stops being cute and it starts being disruptive.
Right. Scribble starts drawing mustaches on family photos.
He's defacing the permanent record.
Then he sketches a door on the wall and just runs right through it, literally altering the infrastructure of the house just because he felt like it.
But the breaking point, and this is the part I really want to dwell on, is the banana incident.
The banana incident is, I think, the perfect metaphor for cognitive overload.
Walk us through the specifics here, because it's not just that he drew a banana.
No. In his frenzy, Scribble accidentally draws a giant banana. But because he has no filter, he also animates it.
So now you have a giant banana.
Rolling down the hallway screaming, "Whee!" at the top of its lungs.
Just picture that. You're trying to live your life, and there is a screaming piece of fruit barreling down your hallway.
And the key word you use there is accidentally. Scribble didn't plan the banana. He didn't think, this household needs a screaming fruit.
No.
He just had the impulse, and the impulse became reality. Instantly.
This resonates so hard with me. This is what it feels like when I have 40 tabs open in my browser. It's idea spam.
Precisely. It's the difference between activity and productivity. Scribble is incredibly active. He is generating content at a mile a minute.
But is any of it useful?
No. It's just noise. It's a screaming banana.
I think we see this in corporate brainstorming meetings all the time. You have that one person who's just throwing out wild ideas. Let's buy a blimp. Let's rebrand to purple. And everyone thinks that's creativity.
Right, that's the Scribble energy.
But if you don't have an Aria to filter it, you just end up with a room full of noise.
And that's where the story pivots.
Huh.
Aria has her realization. She's watching this chaos, and she just gasps. She realizes that being an artist isn't just about making things exist.
It's about curating what exists.
Yes. So she confronts him. She says, Scribble, you can't just draw anything you want.
And his defense is honestly fascinating. He says, why not? I'm imagination in action.
He truly believes that his only function is to output. He conflates imagination with a total lack of control.
So Aria drops the hammer. She says, if you're imagination, then I'm the artist. And artists have to think before they create.
That distinction is so vital. The imagination provides the raw material, but the artist provides the architecture.
The artist decides what doesn't get made.
Exactly.
So this moves us into what the story calls the intervention. And I love that Aria doesn't just yell at him. She doesn't suppress him or, stuff him back in the book.
No, she uses her art to build a system.
She creates 3 tools to manage the chaos.
And these tools are essentially an introduction to executive function for kids. It's brilliant.
Let's break them down. First, she draws a neat art studio.
This is environment design. She's creating a magic circle. She's telling Scribble, you can be as wild as you want, but you have to do it inside this box.
It's compartmentalization.
Which is how deep work happens, right? You can't be creative if you're doing it all over the house while the TV is on. You need the studio.
Okay, then she draws a second tool, which I think is the most controversial one for a so-called creative spirit, a trash bin.
The trash bin is maybe the most important tool in the entire creative arsenal.
But doesn't that feel restrictive? If I'm this wild artist, why do I want a place to throw things away?
Because without a trash bin, you have to keep everything. And if you keep everything, you're not a creator, you're a hoarder.
Huh. Okay.
The trash bin introduces the concept of iteration. It teaches that a bad idea isn't a moral failure, it's just debris. You toss it, and you move on.
So it lowers the stakes.
Drastically. If you know you can throw it away, you're much freer to try it in the first place. If you have to keep every single screaming banana you draw, you'd never draw anything out of fear.
That's a great reframe. The trash bin actually creates psychological safety.
Exactly. And that leads to the third tool, the big eraser labeled Oops Fixer.
The Oops Fixer, it's just genius branding.
It is. It's the concept of editing. It's version control. It's the ability to retract. And we see this tested immediately in the text.
Right, because Scribble, being the agent of chaos that he is, he tries to draw a purple elephant on the ceiling.
Of course he does. Again, with the infrastructure damage.
But look at Aria's reaction. She doesn't scream. She doesn't panic.
She just uses the eraser. She engages the system.
And she explains, art is powerful. It can make people laugh, help them learn, or make a big mess, so we use it wisely.
There's a little dialogue beat here that I found really touching. Scribble looks at her and asks, so?
Fewer ceiling elephants.
And Aria says, definitely fewer ceiling elephants.
It's the negotiation between the id and the ego. And Scribble just accepts it.
But here's the fear I have, and I'm sure a lot of listeners might have it too. When you introduce the studio and the trash bin and the eraser, do you kill the magic?
Right. Does Scribble become a boring, stiff corporate cat?
Yeah.
And that's the central tension of the synthesis phase. Does structure kill flow? The source material argues the complete opposite.
How so?
Once the boundaries are set, Scribble's still zooming around, he's still making silly doodles. But, and this is the key phrase in the text, now, he asked first.
He checked in with the executive.
It becomes a validation loop. Is this a good idea? No, that's banana. Okay, trash bin. How about this one? Yes, that's a space squirrel. Great, let's build it.
And the quality of the output just skyrockets. They stop making noise and they start making signal. The text lists 3 specific projects they collaborate on. And you should notice the progression of these projects. First, a comic strip about space squirrels.
Okay, so that's pure entertainment. Narrative structure.
Then a poster about recycling.
So advocacy, utility.
And finally, a birthday card that makes Grandma cry happy tears.
Emotional resonance.
And you cannot get to Grandma crying happy tears if you were just drawing screaming fruit. That kind of resonance requires empathy, timing, and structure.
You have to know what to put on the page and, more importantly, what to leave off.
Precisely. Which brings us to the core lesson the source creates. It says, imagination is magical, but responsibility makes it masterpiece level magical.
Masterpiece level, that's the delta. Imagination gets you the raw ore, responsibility refines it into gold.
Yeah,
I want to pivot now to the educational takeaway section of the source because while this is framed for cognitive development in kids, these are really high-level concepts.
absolutely. The first big takeaway is art as communication.
Which seems obvious, but
Yeah.
it's not.
It really isn't. When Scribble first appears, he isn't communicating. He's just expressing. He's broadcasting noise. Communication requires a receiver.
It requires Aria saying, Grandma needs a card.
Yes. It shifts the focus from the creator to the audience.
That's a huge maturity shift. It's moving from look at me to here is something for you.
Correct. The second takeaway is this counterintuitive idea that planning and thinking ahead actually improves creativity.
We fight this so hard, don't we? We have this romantic myth of the lightning strike genius who creates a masterpiece in some fever dream. We think planning is boring.
But look at the mechanics of the story. By building the studio, by planning the environment, Aria enabled the space squirrels. If she hadn't planned, she would have spent her entire afternoon just scrubbing rainbow paint off the carpet.
That is such a practical point. Chaos is actually incredibly time-consuming to clean up.
That's high maintenance. Structure is low maintenance, which leaves more energy for the actual art.
Then there's the lesson about the oops fixer, the role of mistakes.
This is critical for building resilience. If you view a mistake as a permanent failure, you freeze up, you get writer's block.
Mm-hmm.
But if you view a mistake as just a line that needs the oops fixer, you keep moving. The eraser turns the mistake into data. It's like, okay, the elephant doesn't work on the ceiling. Where does it work? Maybe on paper.
It effectively destigmatizes the error. It makes the error part of the process instead of the end of the process.
It's iterative design 101.
And finally, the ultimate takeaway, agency. You are in charge of your imagination, not the other way around.
This is the core concept of self-regulation. You are not a victim of your own thoughts. Just because a thought pops into your head, I should eat that entire cake, or I should send that angry email,
Right.
doesn't mean you have to act on it. You are the artist. The thought is just the scribble. You have veto power.
That is incredibly empowering. It separates you from your impulses.
And that separation is where civilization happens.
So let's zoom out. We've analyzed this story about a cat with a lightning bolt tail and roller skates. We've seen him tear up a living room, and we've seen him rehabilitated into a co-pilot for a creative agency.
A very successful agency, judging by Grandma's reaction.
The success metrics are high.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep coming back to the beginning. That simple appeal of the doodle coming to life, it's such a universal fantasy.
It is, because we all have that inner scribble.
Explain that. What does the inner scribble look like for the listener right now?
It's that part of you that craves novelty. It's the part of you that wants to start a new hobby every weekend but never masters any of them.
Yeah.
It's the part that wants to speak over people in meetings
Yeah.
because you just had a brilliant thought.
It's the part of me that wants to buy a kayak at 2 a.m.
Exactly. That's your scribble. And the lesson here isn't to kill the scribble. If you
Uh-huh.
kill the scribble, you become a robot. You lose the spark.
You lose the meowvelous.
A life without scribble is just spreadsheets.
Yeah.
But a life only with scribble is a hallway full of screaming bananas. The goal is the integration. It's Aria and Scribble high-fiving over the Space Squirrel comic
It's about building the internal studio.
and buying the internal trash bin.
So here is my challenge for you, the listener. As you go about your week, try to identify your scribble moments. When do you feel that rush of raw, chaotic energy?
And when that happens, instead of just letting it run wild,
Ask yourself, do I have a frame for this?
ask yourself, is this a space squirrel or is this a ceiling elephant?
And if it's a ceiling elephant, don't be afraid to use the eraser. It doesn't mean you're bad at being creative. It means you're good at being an artist.
Responsibly good.
Create something amazing, but maybe keep the roller skates off the furniture. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.